Preparing for a Diageo FP&A Analyst interview, you've reached Candy Mentor and this video is for you. We'll walk through 15 key questions you're likely to face. For each question you'll see a sample answer followed by the key points to cover. Subscribe, like and share, and drop a topic request in the comments. Question 1. What does FP&A contribute to a business like Diageo? FP&A connects financial information with business decisions. At Diageo, I would help build budgets and forecasts, explain performance against plan, and identify actions across brands, markets, pricing, volume, and investment. The role is not simply reporting historical numbers, it is challenging assumptions and helping commercial teams allocate resources effectively. I would aim to provide clear, timely insight that improves decisions while maintaining strong control over data, definitions, and forecast integrity. While answering, focus on planning, forecasting, performance analysis, decision support, commercial partnership, and translating financial results into actions for brands, markets, and senior stakeholders. Question 2. How would you build an annual budget for a Diageo market or brand portfolio? I would begin with the strategic ambition and translate it into operational drivers. For a Diageo portfolio, that means forecasting volume by brand and channel, pricing, mix, promotional activity, net sales, cost of goods, marketing investment, and overheads. I would use historical trends but challenge them with market growth, competitor activity, inflation, and planned launches. After reviewing assumptions with commercial and supply chain teams, I would reconcile the detailed plan to management targets and document key risks. Make sure to cover bottoms-up drivers, historical performance, volume, price, mix, promotions, marketing investment, foreign exchange, inflation, stakeholder alignment, and reconciliation to strategic targets. Question 3. How do you explain a variance between actual results and forecast? I first quantify the total variance, then decompose it into understandable drivers. For sales, I would separate volume, price, mix, promotion, foreign exchange, and timing effects. For costs, I would examine rates, efficiency, inflation, and one-off items. I would validate the analysis against source systems and business owner commentary before presenting it. Most importantly, I would explain whether the issue is temporary or structural and identify the action needed to improve the next forecast. In your answer, talk about isolating the variance, separating volume, price, mix, foreign exchange, timing, and cost drivers, validating data, quantifying impact, and recommending corrective action. Question 4. What is the difference between price, volume, and mix in revenue analysis? Volume measures how many units or cases were sold, while price measures the change in revenue per comparable unit. Mix captures the effect of selling a different combination of brands, pack sizes, markets, or channels. For example, stable cases can still produce higher revenue if consumers shift toward premium tequila. I would build a bridge from prior period revenue to current revenue, clearly defining interaction conventions, then connect the result to margin and brand strategy. Be sure to mention volume changes, realized pricing, product or channel mix, bridge analysis, interaction effects, and why premiumization matters for Diageo's reported and underlying growth. Question 5. How would you forecast sales for a major Diageo brand? I would start with a baseline using historical shipments, depletion data where available, seasonality, distribution, and recent demand trends. Then I would layer in pricing, promotional intensity, new product launches, channel developments, competitor actions, and expected market growth. I would discuss assumptions with sales and marketing rather than relying only on extrapolation. Finally, I would prepare upside and downside scenarios, highlight the largest sensitivities, and monitor leading indicators against the forecast. Focus on baseline demand, distribution, seasonality, market growth, pricing, promotions, innovation, channel trends, inventory, retailer data, and scenario analysis around key assumptions. Question 6. How would you evaluate marketing and advertising investment? I would evaluate investment against both financial return and strategic brand objectives. Financially, I would estimate incremental sales, gross margin contribution, and return on marketing investment, separating activity-driven growth from underlying demand. I would also consider delayed effects, brand health, reach, and market-building benefits that may not appear immediately. Because attribution is imperfect, I would compare markets or campaigns where possible, use post-campaign analysis, and recommend reallocating spend when returns consistently underperform. Make sure to cover return on investment, incremental sales, gross margin, brand equity, timing, attribution limitations, test and learn analysis, and balancing short-term delivery with long-term growth. Question 7. How would foreign exchange affect Diageo's forecast and performance analysis? Foreign exchange can affect transaction costs, translated revenue and profit, and reported growth when Diageo consolidates international markets. I would separate operational performance from currency by analyzing constant currency results, then show the reported impact using approved planning rates or actual rates. I would also consider hedging and timing assumptions, avoid treating currency movements as operational improvement, and provide sensitivities for major currencies. That gives management a clearer view of controllable performance and forecast risk. In your answer, distinguish transaction and translation exposure, constant currency analysis, hedging assumptions, reporting currency effects, sensitivity analysis, and underlying operational performance. Question 8. What would you do if a sales director challenged your forecast assumptions? I would first understand which assumption the sales director disagrees with and why. I would bring the supporting data, including historical trends, customer information, market indicators, and current pipeline evidence, while recognizing that the commercial team may have valuable forward-looking insight. We could build a base case and an upside case, quantify the difference, and agree on leading indicators to monitor. If judgment remains material, I would document the rationale and escalate transparently rather than forcing false precision. While answering, focus on listening, evidence-based challenge, transparent assumptions, collaborative scenario building, escalation discipline, and preserving forecast credibility rather than simply defending your original view. Question 9. How do you ensure accuracy and control in an FP and a reporting process? I use a repeatable process with clear ownership and documented definitions. I would reconcile reported totals to the general ledger or approved source systems, check period and currency mappings, investigate unusual movements, and perform reasonableness tests against prior periods and forecasts. I would protect key files through version control and review formulas before distribution. Any adjustment should have a clear audit trail and approval. Accuracy matters, but so does delivering reliable information within the decision timeline. Be sure to mention reconciliations, source data checks, standardized definitions, version control, review controls, variance thresholds, audit trails, and timely correction of errors. Question 10. How would you improve a recurring monthly performance report? I would begin by asking users which decisions the report supports and which sections they actually use. Then I would remove duplication, standardize KPI definitions, automate repetitive data preparation, and create a concise dashboard with trends, forecast variance, and key actions. Commentary should explain the drivers, not repeat the numbers. I would test the revised format with stakeholders, incorporate feedback, and establish ownership and refresh controls. The objective is faster, clearer decisions, not simply a more attractive report. Focus on understanding user needs, removing low-value detail, automating data preparation, standardizing KPIs, improving visualization, adding commentary, and measuring whether the revised report supports faster decisions. Question 11. What KPIs would you monitor for Diageo's performance? I would track net sales growth, volume, price and mix, gross margin, operating margin, marketing investment, cash conversion, inventory, and forecast accuracy. For branded drinks company, I would also monitor market share, distribution, depletion or sellout indicators, and performance by category, brand, channel, and geography. The right KPI depends on the decision. Margin informs profitability, while market share and brand health help assess longer-term growth. I would focus on drivers rather than isolated headline metrics. In your answer, discuss net sales, organic growth, volume, price/mix, gross margin, operating margin, marketing efficiency, cash conversion, market share, inventory, and brand-level performance. Question 12. How would you analyze the impact of a price increase? I would compare the expected revenue and margin benefit with the potential volume loss and customer response. The analysis would include price realization, elasticity assumptions, mix shifts, promotional funding, competitor pricing, channel differences, and timing. I would model base, upside, and downside cases, then calculate the effect on net sales, gross profit, and market share. After implementation, I would compare actual volume and realization with the forecast and update assumptions quickly if elasticity proves different. Make sure to cover revenue and profit bridges, elasticity, volume response, mix, trade investment, competitor pricing, customer reaction, timing, and scenario analysis before recommending action. Question 13. Tell me about a time you found an error in financial analysis. In a previous analysis, I noticed that a regional margin trend was inconsistent with both pricing and cost data. I traced the issue to a product mapping change that had excluded several high-cost items from the report. I quantified the impact, informed my manager before distribution, corrected the mapping, and reran the analysis. I then added a completeness check comparing reported products with the master data. The experience reinforced that unusual trends should be investigated, not rationalized. While answering, use a concise star structure, explain how you detected the issue, quantify the potential impact, communicate appropriately, correct the process, and show what you learned. Question 14. How would you assess an innovation or new product launch financially? I would build a driver-based business case covering expected distribution, volume ramp, pricing, trade investment, cost of goods, marketing support, and launch timing. I would distinguish genuinely incremental sales from cannibalization within the portfolio and calculate revenue, gross profit, operating profit, and cash implications. Scenario analysis would test adoption, margin, and investment assumptions. After launch, I would compare distribution, rate of sale, mix, and profitability with the case, then recommend scaling, adjusting, or stopping investment. Be sure to mention market size, cannibalization, pricing, volume ramp, gross margin, launch investment, distribution, working capital, scenarios, and post-launch performance tracking. Question 15. Why do you want to join Diageo as an FP&A analyst? I am attracted to Diageo because it combines globally recognized brands with complex commercial decisions across categories, markets, channels, and currencies. FP&A would let me apply analytical skills to questions that directly influence growth, pricing, investment, and profitability. I also value the opportunity to work closely with sales, marketing, supply chain, and finance partners in an international environment. I would bring curiosity, strong attention to detail, and a practical mindset focused on turning analysis into action. In your answer, connect Diageo's global premium brands, consumer-driven growth, commercial complexity, purpose, analytical development, cross-functional exposure, and your motivation to influence decisions through finance. If you are still with us, congratulations, you are much ahead of the rest and serious about preparing for your interview. We hope we were able to add value to your preparation and create some helpful content. Do not forget to like and share this video. Your small act can do great things for us.